Have you ever felt completely drained after spending time with someone? Like something was taken from you even if they never raised their voice? Maybe you walked away confused, doubting yourself and wondering what you did wrong. But what if I told you, the real danger wasn't what they did, it was what they projected? Carl Jung spent his life exploring these invisible forces, the unconscious layers of human behavior that shape our lives without us even noticing. According to Jung, it's not just our own unconscious we need to worry about. It's how others' shadows invade our reality. You might think you can sense toxic people, but real psychological danger doesn't come with a warning sign. Often it comes wearing a smile. It's hidden behind charm, emotional vulnerability, or even family bonds. And before you realize it, you're no longer just interacting with someone. You've become a character in their unresolved drama. This is called projection. It's when someone unconsciously assigns their inner wounds, fears, and guilt to someone else. You're no longer a person to them. You're a screen onto which they cast their unresolved pain. And the worst part? You often don't even realize it's happening. You think you're being kind, helpful, mature, but in reality, you're carrying someone else's shadow. Their pain becomes your burden, their insecurities become your fault, and slowly you lose touch with what's truly yours. Jung warned us, the most dangerous people aren't evil on purpose, they're unconscious. They don't know what drives them. They don't see how their repressed traumas distort everything. These people aren't malicious, but they are dangerous. And if you're unaware, you become the vessel for their chaos. Let's start with the unconscious manipulator, someone who constantly casts their emotional pain onto others. They don't say, "I'm struggling." They say, "You made me feel this way." They turn you into the villain of their story, without ever realizing they're doing it. At first, they seem fragile, sensitive, deep. You want to help. You feel drawn to their intensity. But the longer you stay, the more you realize you're being pulled into a psychological quicksand, and it's not yours. They never take responsibility. When they're angry, it's because you provoked them. When they feel insecure, it's because you think you're better than them. You begin to question yourself. Am I really toxic? Did I cross a line? And just like that, the manipulation works. Not with force, but with confusion, guilt, and emotional entanglement. This type of manipulator often isn't loud or aggressive. They're soft-spoken, emotionally expressive, even magnetic. And that makes it even harder to recognize what's happening. You believe you can save them, but in trying to rescue them, you lose yourself. Jung warned us that projection creates a kind of psychic blindness. You're no longer seen for who you are. You're reduced to a symbol, a savior, a villain, a parent, a scapegoat, everything except you. And then comes the second figure, the persona bearer. Unlike the manipulator, they aren't chaotic. They're polished, always smiling, always saying the right thing, and yet being around them feels hollow. The persona is the mask we all wear to function in society. Jung said it helps us play our roles, teacher, partner, friend. But when someone believes they are the mask, when they only live to appear correct, things turn dangerous. These people avoid conflict. They never show weakness. They always seem composed, but behind that calm is a soul in distress. They repress everything real. Anger, sadness, desire, and what they repress builds pressure. You feel it. The tension. The artificiality. You can't quite explain it, but it's there. Worse, they expect you to play along, to match their emotional censorship. If you show real emotion, they shut down. If you break the script, they retreat. Slowly, you start to censor yourself. You become another actor in their internal theater. And just like that, you wear a mask too. Jung saw this as one of the most dangerous forms of self-deception, because the more someone clings to the persona, the more they bury their true self. And what's buried doesn't disappear. It becomes the shadow. In the next part, we'll meet the third and most volatile type, the owner of the repressed shadow. the one who seems balanced, kind, perfect, until all their buried darkness explodes. Some people seem moral, disciplined, in control. But beneath the surface, there's a storm waiting to erupt. Jung warned, the stronger the persona, the more violently the shadow will eventually break through. These people aren't just difficult. They explode over nothing, hold grudges for years, or manipulate through guilt. All signs of a shadow that's been buried too long. The shadow isn't just the bad in us. Jung saw it as the warehouse of our hidden power, creativity, and truth, all the parts we've denied. But if ignored, it doesn't stay silent. It poisons relationships and distorts reality, especially for those closest to the repressor. Living with someone like this is like walking through an emotional minefield. You never know what will set them off. If you find this helpful, and this is resonating with you, don't forget to click the subscribe button so you won't miss new videos, coming every other day. Your support truly means a lot. Thank you. This repression often hides behind rigid moral superiority, which brings us to the next type Jung warned about, the moral controller. They don't carry swords. They carry judgment cloaked in ethics, religion, virtue. On the outside, they're upright. On the inside, they're tormented. They've buried their own desires and now weaponize shame and guilt to control others. Instead of integrating their darkness, they project it. And that projection becomes persecution. You've likely met one. They criticize often but reflect never. They label others immoral to maintain their own illusion of goodness. But unlike manipulators who know what they're doing, the moral controller believes they're helping. It's for your own good. Someone has to tell you the truth. Their words feel like guidance, but they're heavy with projection. Jung explored this archetype in depth, especially in his writings on Christ and the Antichrist. The danger of the moral controller is that they mistake themselves for light when they are blinded by their own unacknowledged darkness. Their judgment feels like spiritual leadership, but it's really unconscious repression in disguise. If you're close to someone like this, guilt becomes your constant companion. You feel wrong simply for being yourself. Over time, you internalize their rules and start erasing parts of your personality just to fit their ideal. What they call morality becomes your cage. This dynamic is everywhere, in families, churches, workplaces. Jung believed such moralism strangles the process of individuation, the journey to self-knowledge. Extreme moralists don't want the truth. They want control. And when they can't control the outside world, they turn to controlling the inner world of those around them. But the moral controller isn't the only danger. Jung identified another, more chaotic, less predictable: the complex individual. While the moralist represses and projects, the complex person is ruled by their inner wounds. They swing between kindness and emotional chaos, smiling one moment, exploding the next. Affection turns into accusation, laughter into silence. Living with them feels like walking on shifting ground. Jung described complexes as emotional fragments, mini-personalities born from trauma or unresolved pain. These fragments hijack the mind, causing people to react not to the moment, but to the ghosts of their past. One word from you triggers an old wound in them, and you pay the price. The complex individual doesn't see what's happening. They think they're being reasonable even when overtaken by rage or sorrow. These episodes come in waves, moments of love, then emotional storms. You stay, hoping for the version of them you love, while fearing the version that surfaces without warning. To keep peace, you shrink, you avoid triggers, you tiptoe. But here's the truth. The storm isn't caused by you. It's been brewing for years. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." These complexes colonize the psyche. They take over emotions, thoughts, even decisions. There's no consistency, just uncertainty. And over time, you start to lose sight of your own reality. You doubt your feelings, your memory, your truth. The unconscious of another has invaded you. And yet there's one final type that may be even more dangerous, not because they explode, but because they silently drain the life from you. The psychic vampire. They don't shout or criticize, they cling. They demand your time, your energy, your empathy, until you have nothing left. They come disguised as the wounded, the dependent, the endlessly needy. But beneath that, there's a bottomless pit no amount of love can fill. Jung described these relationships as symbiotic prisons. You stop being a person, you become a lifeline. And it's never enough. You start by helping, then you give more, then you abandon yourself in the name of compassion, until you wake up and realize you don't know where they end, and you begin. The exhaustion is not just emotional, it's existential. You feel hollow, consumed. Jung called this one of the greatest threats to individuation, when two people fail to see themselves as separate beings. The psychic vampire doesn't want growth. They want to be carried. And the more you give, the more they take, until you feel guilty for needing space, selfish for needing silence. But their greatest trick? Role reversal. They become the victim, you the villain. They make you feel cold for setting boundaries, heartless for wanting air. And slowly, you begin to live just to keep the peace, to avoid the collapse, to survive a bond that's draining the life from you. Jung gave us a way out. Make the unconscious conscious. Recognize the projection. See the shadow. Own your pain. Because maybe at some point you've been the persona, or the vampire, or the complexed. We all carry shadows. But the difference lies in awareness, in who chooses to see and who chooses to blindfold themselves and blame. If you've come this far, you're already on the path. Now go further. Ask the hard questions. Reclaim your psyche. Because in the end, we all carry shadows, but only those who dare to see them truly become free. And with that being said, I will see you in the next one.